You know, every once in a while the football world gives us one of those moments that makes everybody stop and go, wait, did that really just happen? And this week we had exactly that. A Hall of Fame quarterback, one of the most legendary names the game has ever seen, went on a national show and got asked a pretty simple question. If you were starting a franchise today, which quarterbacks would you pick? Straightforward, right? You'd expect names like Patrick Mahomes, maybe Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and absolutely Lamar Jackson has to be in that conversation. But here's the crazy part. Lamar Jackson didn't even get mentioned. Not once. Not even as an afterthought. Completely overlooked, almost disrespected, and for Ravens fans, and honestly for anyone who watches football closely, that felt insane. The quarterback we're talking about is Joe Montana. Four-time Super Bowl champion, absolute legend of the San Francisco 49ers, a guy who's seen and done it all. He gets asked this question on the Pat McAfee show, and what does he do? He lists Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. No Mahomes. No Lamar Jackson. Just let that sink in for a second. Patrick Mahomes, already with multiple rings, already building one of the greatest resumes in NFL history, and Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP, a quarterback who just put together one of the most absurd statistical seasons we've ever seen, both completely absent from Montana's list. Now, he tried to clarify a little later by saying he was going for younger quarterbacks, but that explanation doesn't hold up at all. Because Patrick Mahomes is 29. Josh Allen is 29. Lamar Jackson is 28. These are guys right in the middle of their primes, not veterans on the verge of retirement. So if the goal was to name quarterbacks for the future, how do you leave off Mahomes? How do you leave off Lamar? It just doesn't make sense. And honestly, it felt like one of those moments where you wonder if Montana even follows the modern game that closely anymore. What makes this sting even more is how Lamar Jackson always seems to be the one quarterback who gets picked apart in ways that others don't. When Justin Herbert loses in the playoffs, when he blows a massive lead against Jacksonville, the conversation is still about how talented he is, how bright his future looks. But when Lamar Jackson wins an MVP, dominates games both through the air and on the ground, and consistently carries Baltimore into contention, the narrative suddenly shifts to, well, can he win in the playoffs? It's like the standards are completely different depending on the name attached. And that's what frustrates so many people. Because let's be real, Justin Herbert is talented, no doubt about that. But his postseason resume is non-existent. 0 wins, 2 losses, including that brutal collapse in Jacksonville. Meanwhile, Lamar has multiple playoff victories, has carried a team that's dealt with injuries and roster turnover year after year, and has redefined what a quarterback can look like in this era. Yet somehow Herbert ends up in Joe Montana's top, for while Lamar doesn't even get a mention. That's the part that makes people shake their heads. And look, everybody is entitled to their opinion. Montana doesn't have to think Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback alive, but to not even acknowledge him, to leave him completely off the list, that feels less like an opinion and more like a blind spot, or maybe just straight-up disrespect. And it's not just Ravens fans who felt that way either. Chiefs fans jumped in too, because Mahomes being left off was just as wild. For a brief moment, Baltimore and Kansas City supporters found themselves united, both wondering how on earth Montana could ignore the two quarterbacks who have dominated the league the most over the past few seasons. Here's the thing, though. When you look at Lamar's career, he's already accomplished things no one else in history has done. Over 4,000 passing yards and over 900 rushing yards in the same season. He's the only one. An MVP award? He's got it. Consistently carrying his team deep into January despite injuries to key players and constant questions about his supporting cast. He's done that too. The only thing missing is that Super Bowl ring. And let's be honest, if he wins one, the entire conversation around him changes forever. But even without that ring, to leave him out of a conversation about quarterbacks to build a franchise around is absurd. Because if you're building a team, don't you want the most dynamic playmaker in the league? Don't you want someone who forces defenses to completely rewrite their game plans? That's Lamar Jackson. He's not just a runner. He's not just a thrower. He's both, and he's elite at both. Defenses know it. Coaches know it. And yet a Hall of Fame quarterback decided he wasn't even worth mentioning. That's where the disrespect part comes in. Now, when it comes to Jalen Hurts, that's another interesting wrinkle. Hurts is a good quarterback. He's tough. He's a leader. He's already won a championship with the Eagles. But is he truly on the same level as Lamar Jackson? That's where the debate starts. Hurts has benefited from a loaded roster, a historically dominant defense, and one of the best offensive lines in football. Lamar hasn't always had those luxuries. In fact, a lot of the time he's been carrying Baltimore through sheer willpower and raw talent. So when Hurts gets put on a pedestal above Lamar, it feels like we're mixing up individual talent with team success. Championships matter, yes, but they're also the most team-dependent stat in football. And that's why you can't just throw Hurts ahead of Lamar based on that alone. Think about it this way. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Does that make them all-time great quarterbacks? Of course not. Championships are the goal, but they don't always tell the whole story. What Lamar has shown on the field is generational talent. And if he does add that ring, there's a real argument he could go down as one of the greatest football players the game has ever seen, not just one of the greatest quarterbacks. So when Joe Montana goes on air and gives us a list without Lamar Jackson, it sparks all these conversations. Some people laugh it off, saying Montana's just out of touch. Others get genuinely upset, feeling like it's yet another example of Lamar being overlooked in ways other quarterbacks never are. Whatever side you're on, it's undeniable that his absence from that list has everybody talking. And maybe, just maybe, it's the type of slight that fuels Lamar even more heading into this season. Because if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he thrives when people doubt him. And right now, a Hall of Famer just gave him some bulletin board material that could make this year even more dangerous for Baltimore's opponents. So after all the noise about Lamar Jackson being left off Joe Montana's list, the conversation around the Ravens shifted to something completely different, something that only the world of modern sports could give us: cryptic social media posts. It's funny how much weight a single emoji can carry when it's coming from the right player at the right time. And this week, Isaiah likely gave Ravens fans one of those moments where everyone stopped scrolling, stared at their screen, and went, "Okay, what exactly does this mean?" Now, likely has been such an intriguing piece of this Ravens offense. A tight end who's shown flashes of being a real difference maker, a guy who can step in alongside Mark Andrews and create matchup nightmares for defenses. But he's also been battling a setback with that broken foot he suffered during training camp. That's the kind of injury that makes you hold your breath because tight ends need their lower body so much to block, to cut, to explode off the line of scrimmage. The typical timeline for that kind of recovery is anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, depending on the severity, and with the season opener against Buffalo looming, everybody wanted to know, will he be ready? So here comes Isaiah Likely, hopping on social media, and instead of giving us a straight update, he drops a stopwatch emoji followed by 3 little dots. That's it. No caption, no video, no context. Just a stopwatch and 3 dots. And that one tiny post sent Ravens fans into a frenzy. Is he saying his time is almost up, as in he's almost back? Are the 3 dots meant to build suspense, like something's coming soon? Or do the dots mean something darker, like he's hinting that he won't be ready and it's going to take longer than expected? It's hilarious and fascinating at the same time, because people started dissecting it like it was a riddle. Some fans said the stopwatch made them optimistic. It felt like Likely was counting down, getting closer to returning. But then the dots made others nervous, almost like they gave the post a gloomy undertone, as if he was admitting there's more waiting ahead. It turned into one of those debates where nobody actually knows the answer, but everybody has an opinion. And that right there is peak cryptic season in sports. And you know what? In some ways, Likely posting that emoji says more than a normal update would have. Because if he came out and said, "Hey, I'll be back in week 2, that's straightforward, clear, no discussion. But dropping that stopwatch created buzz. It made people talk. It got Ravens fans even more invested in what his status is going to be. That's the world we live in now. Social media has turned athletes into storytellers, and sometimes the story is told through a single picture or emoji rather than a full explanation. Now let's break down the reality. The Ravens didn't place Likely on injured reserve, which tells us they believe he'll be back within the first 4 weeks of the season. If they thought he'd be out longer, he'd be on IR already, no question. That decision alone is encouraging. But being ready by week 1 against Buffalo, that's a different story. Coming off a broken foot, You don't just jog onto the field without practice and suddenly play 60 snaps in a high-intensity primetime game. Even veterans need reps, timing, and rhythm. So while it's possible he suits up, the smarter bet is probably that Baltimore holds him out until he's 100%. And here's the other thing. This Ravens team has depth at tight end. Mark Andrews is still the guy, no question. He's the engine, the #1 target, and he's playing with a chip on his shoulder after last season ended in heartbreak for him. Remember that 2-point conversion against Buffalo that slipped away? That moment stuck with him all offseason. He knows it, the team knows it, the fans know it. Andrews has been one of the most reliable tight ends in football for years, but he wants to erase that memory with a monster season. Then you have Charlie Kolar, another young tight end who's shown promise. So while Isaiah Likely is important, the Ravens aren't desperate. They can afford to give him time. Still, the symbolism of that stopwatch is fascinating. Maybe it's not even about football. Maybe Likely is hinting at something bigger, like his contract situation. He's in a contract year, same as the other tight ends in the room. Could it be that the clock is ticking on his future with the Ravens? Is he teasing that negotiations are happening, or that he's about to secure his bag? That's the beauty and the curse of cryptic posts. They mean everything and nothing at the same time. And the timing of it couldn't be better, because Ravens fans are already living in that tense, anxious window leading up to kickoff. Every update, every little nugget of information feels huge. So when Likely drops that post, it feels like he's playing with the emotions of the entire fan base. Some people are optimistic, some people are worried, but everybody is talking about him. And in a way, that's the smartest move a player can make in today's NFL. Keep yourself in the headlines, keep people guessing, and make sure when you do step back on the field, the anticipation is sky high. Now let's talk about how important Isaiah Likely can be when he is healthy. He's not just a depth piece, he's someone who changes what the Ravens can do offensively. Imagine a defense already stressed trying to cover Zay Flowers on the outside, Rashad Bateman working intermediate routes, and Mark Andrews drawing coverage up the seam. Now throw in a second athletic tight end who can exploit mismatches against linebackers or safeties. That's the type of weapon that takes an offense from dangerous to downright terrifying. That's why this little stopwatch post matters so much, because fans know the impact Likely can have. But here's the key. Rushing back too soon would be a mistake. We've seen it happen before with players across the league. A guy hurries to get on the field for week 1. He's not fully healed. He tries to gut it out, and before you know it, he's re-injured and out for months. That's not what the Ravens need. Not when the season is a marathon and the ultimate goal is January and February, not September. So if Likely isn't ready, if he's at 75% instead of 100, the smart move is to sit him. Baltimore has enough firepower to survive early games without him. At the same time, you can feel the hunger from this entire tight end group. They all know what's at stake this year. Contracts are on the line. Legacies are on the line. For Mark Andrews, it's about reminding everyone he's still elite, still one of the very best at his position. For Isaiah Likely, it's about proving he's more than just potential, that he's a legitimate weapon in a loaded offense. For Charlie Kolar, it's about seizing opportunities and showing he belongs in the mix. That kind of motivation can push a group to new heights. And that's why the stopwatch post hit so hard. It wasn't just about injury recovery. It was about timing in every sense. Timing for Likely's comeback, timing for his career, timing for this Ravens team that feels like it's on the verge of something special. The dots at the end? That was the perfect touch, because it leaves the story unfinished. It leaves everyone waiting for the next chapter. And in sports, anticipation is everything. So while we may not get a clear answer about what Isaiah Likely meant, one thing is certain. He has everybody watching. And when he finally does step back on that field, whether it's week 1, week 3, or later, the clock will stop, the dots will disappear, and the Ravens will get back a player who can tilt the field in their favor. Until then, all we can do is wait and keep refreshing our timelines to see what emoji comes next. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Whispers have begun circulating around the Ravens locker room, sending shockwaves through the NFL community, as head coach John Harbaugh reportedly expressed that there is a player on the roster he no longer desires to retain. According to insider chatter, the tension between the coaching staff and certain players has reached a boiling point, sparking speculation about potential trades, releases, or internal disciplinary actions. The football world thrives on uncertainty, and when a coach of Harbaugh's caliber, who has built his reputation on discipline and consistency, signals dissatisfaction with a member of his squad, the implications are enormous. Sources close to the team claim that this unnamed player has struggled to meet performance expectations, possibly clashing with team culture or failing to execute strategic plans during critical moments. Fans are dissecting every public interaction, scrutinizing social media posts, and revisiting past games for clues about who this enigmatic figure might be. Rumors suggest that the player's position and recent performance metrics are under intense internal review, with the front office possibly weighing the long-term impact on the team's competitiveness. Analysts argue that Harbaugh's decision could be part of a larger restructuring aimed at reinvigorating the roster, signaling a willingness to make bold moves even at the cost of short-term stability. In the competitive landscape of the NFL, where reputations and careers can hinge on a single season, this revelation has sparked heated debates among fans, commentators, and sports insiders alike, creating a charged atmosphere around the Ravens franchise. The narrative unfolding is one of intrigue, strategy, and a subtle yet potent power struggle, as the future of a key player hangs precariously in the balance while speculation grows more intense by the day, threatening to dominate headlines and reshape the team's dynamics in ways only time will reveal, leaving supporters anxiously watching for the next development in this ongoing saga. The rumor mill has intensified as more sources hint that the player in question has not only underperformed statistically, but may also have strained relationships with teammates, fostering an environment of discord that Harbaugh cannot overlook. In professional sports, internal chemistry often proves as crucial as individual talent, and the suggestion that a prominent figure within the Ravens is considered expendable has ignited widespread commentary across sports media platforms. Observers point to recent game footage where errors or miscommunications may have underscored deeper issues with the player's integration into the team's system, fueling speculation about Harbaugh's patience wearing thin. While no official statements have been made regarding potential trades or cuts, insiders suggest that discussions are actively underway behind closed doors, with management weighing options that balance team performance with locker room harmony. The tension has also sparked fan debates, with social media buzzing with theories and predictions about who might be on the chopping block, creating a palpable sense of anticipation and uncertainty. Analysts note that Harbaugh has historically demonstrated loyalty, but also an unwavering commitment to discipline and excellence, meaning that his apparent decision to part ways with a player would not have been made lightly. The potential ramifications extend beyond the Ravens' immediate season, as a high-profile departure could influence the morale of remaining players, the team's draft strategy, and even future contract negotiations. Speculative reports suggest that this situation could trigger a domino effect, prompting other players to reconsider their roles or performance levels while signaling to the league that the Ravens are serious about maintaining strict standards. In an era where sports franchises are scrutinized relentlessly, every action, intentional or otherwise, is magnified, and Harbaugh's statement, or even the rumor of it, serves as a powerful narrative device, reinforcing the notion that elite teams require both skill and alignment with organizational values, and that deviation from these expectations carries tangible consequences that could redefine the trajectory of careers and team success alike, leaving the entire NFL community on edge. Sources within the organization are reportedly split regarding the next steps, with some advocating for a swift resolution to avoid prolonged distraction, while others recommend careful deliberation to ensure the team's long-term strategy is not compromised. Speculation continues to swirl about the player's identity, with pundits dissecting recent game statistics, injury reports, and behavioral patterns both on and off the field. This brewing controversy has placed Harbaugh in an unusually visible spotlight, as insiders debate whether this signals a broader shift in coaching philosophy or merely addresses a singular disruptive presence. The uncertainty has fueled intense media scrutiny, with every practice session and pre-game comment examined for hidden meaning, suggesting that the fallout from this revelation could extend far beyond the immediate team environment. Fans, fueled by rumors and partial leaks, have taken to forums and social media channels to voice opinions, create polls, and even speculate on potential replacement candidates, demonstrating the profound influence of coaching decisions on public perception. Analysts note that Harbaugh's approach has always combined strategic acumen with a deep understanding of player psychology, meaning that any decision to sever ties with a team member would be carefully calculated, weighing both performance metrics and intangible elements such as leadership and morale. The player's perceived value, both on the field and in terms of branding or fan engagement, adds another layer of complexity, as management must balance the financial and reputational implications of a potential departure. Meanwhile, rumors suggest that discussions between Harbaugh, the front office, and player representatives are ongoing, with contingency plans reportedly being drafted to mitigate disruption should a separation occur. The overarching narrative paints a picture of a franchise at a crossroads, facing difficult choices that blend performance imperatives with human dynamics, creating a tense and uncertain atmosphere where every decision resonates far beyond the immediate roster, potentially shaping the Ravens' legacy and strategic direction in the highly competitive NFL landscape, leaving insiders, fans, and the media in a state of heightened anticipation as the situation develops. Meanwhile, speculation surrounding this player has led to conjecture about potential trade partners, with rival teams reportedly monitoring the situation closely, eager to exploit any opportunity to acquire talent at a perceived discount or to weaken a competitor. Insider chatter hints that contract details, salary cap implications, and the timing of any move are central to the ongoing deliberations, with the Ravens potentially seeking to maximize return while minimizing disruption to team chemistry. The complexity of managing a high-profile roster is magnified by the fact that any departure must be handled with sensitivity to avoid public relations fallout, which in the digital age can escalate rapidly and dominate national headlines. Analysts point out that Harbaugh's reputed candidness and leadership style may play a pivotal role in shaping the outcome, as his approach to conflict resolution and talent management is both methodical and strategic, often involving a mix of private discussions, performance reviews, and psychological assessment. Meanwhile, fans have engaged in intense speculation, debating the potential impact on the team's on-field performance, playoff prospects, and broader organizational culture. Social media platforms have become hotbeds for rumor propagation, with every piece of information, real or inferred, fueling discussion and creating an environment where narratives evolve rapidly, often independent of official confirmation. Market observers and sports commentators also highlight that such situations can affect the franchise's attractiveness to future free agents, signaling the importance of perceived stability, fairness, and opportunity within the team. The overall scenario underscores the intricate interplay between athletic performance, management strategy, and public perception, demonstrating how a single internal decision can ripple outward, influencing not only the immediate season, but also long-term franchise strategy, league dynamics, and fan engagement, turning a seemingly isolated personnel matter into a topic of widespread analysis, conjecture, and speculation across the sports community, keeping all eyes firmly on the Ravens and their next move. The atmosphere surrounding the Ravens has become increasingly charged, with reports suggesting that locker room dynamics, team culture, and long-term planning are all contributing factors in Harbaugh's purported decision. Observers note that the players' interactions with coaching staff, adaptability to evolving strategies, and overall commitment to team objectives are under scrutiny, feeding into a narrative of discord that may have precipitated the coach's stance. Speculative coverage highlights that while performance statistics provide measurable insight, intangible factors such as leadership influence, mentorship of younger players, and adherence to organizational ethos play a critical role in decision-making at this level. Rumors also indicate that discussions with player agents, potential trade negotiations, and contingency planning are being handled discreetly, reflecting the delicate balance between operational transparency and strategic confidentiality. Meanwhile, media outlets and fan communities continue to dissect historical game footage, press conferences, and social media activity for hints about the situation, further amplifying speculation and heightening public interest. Industry analysts suggest that Harbaugh's decision, whether symbolic or actionable, serves as a signal to the broader league about standards, expectations, and accountability, reinforcing his reputation as a coach who prioritizes culture and performance over individual fame or sentimentality. The ongoing dialogue surrounding this unnamed player reflects the intricate pressures inherent in professional sports management, where decisions resonate across multiple domains including team morale, franchise reputation, competitive positioning, and market perception. As rumors continue to circulate and the Ravens' strategy unfolds behind closed doors, the narrative remains fluid, offering a compelling study in leadership, organizational dynamics, and the relentless scrutiny that accompanies high-stakes decision-making in the NFL, ensuring that the story will dominate conversations, analysis, and speculation for the foreseeable future, leaving both insiders and fans bracing for the next dramatic development in this captivating saga. As the speculation deepens, the Ravens organization faces mounting pressure to clarify the situation, balancing transparency with strategic discretion, while maintaining focus on the ongoing season and team objectives. Industry insiders suggest that Harbaugh's position is emblematic of the broader tension between maintaining discipline and nurturing talent within elite professional teams, with each decision reverberating beyond the immediate roster to influence league-wide perceptions. Analysts are exploring the myriad possible outcomes, from a trade to a release, each scenario carrying implications for salary cap management, draft strategy, and roster composition, highlighting the complex calculus involved in modern NFL operations. Rumor-driven narratives underscore the media's role in amplifying uncertainty, as leaks, speculation, and fan conjecture create a feedback loop that can shape organizational behavior and public perception simultaneously. Observers note that the unnamed player's performance history, contract specifics, and public persona all contribute to the multifaceted evaluation process, requiring careful consideration by both coaching and management staff. Meanwhile, the locker room atmosphere is reportedly under close observation, as team leaders and veterans seek to maintain cohesion amidst swirling rumors, reflecting the delicate interplay between leadership, morale, and performance. Fans and commentators are increasingly dissecting coaching decisions, potential replacements, and strategic ramifications, turning each practice session and press interaction into fodder for analysis and conjecture. The unfolding story has become a lens through which broader themes of accountability, organizational culture, and competitive strategy are examined, reinforcing the notion that professional sports are as much about narrative and perception as they are about skill and execution. In this charged environment, every choice, statement, and rumor carries weight, ensuring that the Ravens' handling of this situation will be closely monitored, debated, and remembered as a defining moment in the franchise's ongoing narrative, keeping the sports world riveted as it anticipates the eventual resolution of this unfolding drama. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.